Hello and welcome to the German in Japan channel. Probably the best way of learning about life in Japan without actually being in Japan. Well, I'm your host and let's start off with the news. A full year has passed since we have discovered the virus. Since spring 2020, Japan decided to shut down the country. All for, like back in the days, a lot of 100 years ago, when no one was allowed to enter the country as well. So, once again, the Japanese government, so I have good news for you. Once again, the Japanese government is considering to lift travel restriction for international tourists in the spring of 2020. So, in 3 or 4 months, considering the month of April, I would suggest. And this time the government is planning to use the proposed spring reopening as a try for its planned full reopening summer of Olympics. So, you should know that Japan planned the original Olympics in 2020 summer. Actually, I wanted to go there and see the Olympics. I also bought a ticket, but yeah, screw it. Not possible, or it was not possible, or still not possible yet. And so they postponed Olympics to 2021, so summer next year, or actually this new year, since this video is coming out right now on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. And well, they postponed it to summer 2021, and in spring 2021 they want to do as a trial, as a test run for the Olympics, because not everything is set in stone yet, so they aren't that sure to hold the Olympics next year, or actually this year. So this spring they tried to let in some foreign tourists, so a limited amount of number, to test also some measurements. They took some actions to provide that there are safety restrictions and so on. So this is quite a good news for you, because also for me, because I originally planned to go and actually 2020, but well, postponed, can't do anything about it. So I decided to go in 2021, and my original plan was then summer 2021, but well, it's before summer, spring, why not? Then I can go 2 times there. Actually good news. So it's not the first time that the Japanese government floated the idea of reopening a country in spring. Because spring is really the high season in Japan, so most of the tourists, they come to Japan in April. Of course, you see it in the picture of the beautiful sakura trees, and actually in Japanese it's called anami, so watching the flowers. People go out in the park, sit on some blankets, have a lot of alcohol or a lot of sake, and just having a good time. And of course everyone is free because it's a national holiday, and a lot of foreign tourists want also to experience this kind of annual event. So yeah, it's peak season, and that's the reason the Japanese government planned to consider to open for foreign tourists. Well, but however, due to the violation nature of COVID-19, we have a rise in infection, and there's a lot of anxiety speaking out. Nothing is really set in stone, so nothing is really decided yet. They're just thoughts. They thinking about it. They just waiting, just to see how the numbers will evolve, increase or decrease, or if they will be seen, and so on. So they can quite handle it in a flexible way. And it is clear that Japan is determined to hold the postponed sporting event next year. So they said, we have definitely do it next year. So actually this year's summer, because they lost a lot of money. They invested a lot of money, and now it's a really tough time for the country. A lot of people, a lot of Japanese people, they have this mindset that they really looked forward to this event, to the Tokyo Olympics. The last event was quite a long time ago, and now they were really proud of having this event right now, and then it was postponed, so it was quite a disaster, the Western Blast for that set. Well, currently entry to Japan is restricted, as I already mentioned before. And this aspect, the lack of tourism, it also has or have had or already has a major impact on Japan's economy in general. So can you imagine all the tourist spots, all the famous places in Tokyo and Kyoto, Kyozumidera or Fushiminari Shrine, or down there in Osaka, Dotonbori Street and so on. All the spots, they are empty. No one is there. Actually, it's the best time to travel because there are a lot of tourists there, and you're packed in, you hear all the shutters from the cameras, you can't really enjoy the nature, the shrine, the spirituality. But well, you can't enter the country. Or you're lucky, you're living there as a resident, you have the residence card and you can enjoy it right now. But for foreign people, yeah, it's not a good thing to do right now. So, while the international borders remain closed, the government aims to cushion, to help the economic damage that is happening right now. They subsidize a travel plan, it's called Japan Go To campaign, but it's only for domestic travels. If you are living in Japan and you want to travel to the famous places I just mentioned, they give you up to 35% discount on hotels, tours, shopping, everything else. So there is a vast majority traveling the whole country of Japan. And the campaign started in the beginning of December. We have right now the end of December or start of January. And since then, since this news, a lot of things happened. A lot of, rather negative. So back then I was really hoping I was full of hope, full of positive thoughts that I can go to Japan in April 2021. I still have some hopes for it, but the situation has changed. The numbers has increased. So this idea is right now off the table. But well, on the other hand, yes, the number has increased. So as time goes on, the situation has worsened, so it didn't improve. But still Japan said like, okay, for selected foreign travelers, it's okay to enter the country. For example, you are working for a huge company and you want to settle a deal with a Japanese company. And even they set a certain amount of money for the deal. Was what, 100,000 euros or something like this, or dollars, and then it's allowed for you to enter the country to seal the deal. So there would be no negative impacts on Japanese, just a little help to boost it. So they said like throughout December, okay, it's allowed to go to Japan, but not for tourism, just for business. But there were a lot of restrictions, like you had to put yourself into quarantine for 2 weeks in a hotel. Can you imagine being locked down 2 weeks in Japan, in a hotel? You can't go outside, it's your country, you always wanted to go there, and then you can just watch television or have a look at a lot of YouTube videos like this channel. But I think it's not a good thing. So the government had second thoughts. They cancelled the Go To program because, imagine all the people from Japan. Just have a look at this picture. All the people from Japan, they started to do domestic travel. Oh no, there's a woman. She's not wearing a mask. Unbelievable. All the people, they tried, because it was subsidized up to 35% discount. You can imagine a lot of travel happened there. So a lot of domestic travel. And the numbers rose. They increase. So Tokyo turned out to be the next hotspot. And they said, okay, we'll cancel the program. First of all, they said like, oh, they will keep the program, but it's not allowed for Tokyo residents or go to Tokyo city. Then we will not subsidize. So they closed off Tokyo for this travel program. And imagine, I think it was just above 1,000 people and 1,000 affections. right now and end of December, beginning of January, it's 3,000 and more, by the way. So it was quite a good measurement they took there, but still the number of amazing. They took off Tokyo on the list and then they cancelled the program. Well, considering the future, the entry was expected to be early spring at the nation tests, Summer Olympics, but well, they kind of threw this plan into the bucket, into the bin. So the games are providing to be a sore point for Japanese mindset. They really look forward to it, and a lot of people, residents, worrying about the pandemic. They did a survey and they found out that only 27% favors the holding of the game next year. 7% of Japanese people, representative group, said like, okay, let's do it, let's do Tokyo Olympics. And another 31% said like, oh, 2021 it's too close, let's postpone it to 2022. And another third just said like, cancel the whole thing, it is how it is, can't do a thing about it. Originally the games would be planned about July the 23rd, and there is hope that the situation will improve and will be completely different, with vacations having taken place and the situation in Japan hopefully under greater control. Fun fact is that even the numbers increased, and they thought there was the survey about postponing game and or canceling the Olympic Games and so on. And Japan has tough restrictions regarding who can enter the country and who not, regarding business, family, or specific countries like China. And however, despite these such restrictions, the entry of foreigners into Japan has doubled month to month. So it's really contradictory, isn't it? So while in October it was like 27,000 foreign people coming to the country, they were accepted to come into the country. In November it was like double, so 56k people are allowed to enter the country, even though the situation, the infections increased. And now they tried to shift back. So just recently, a couple days ago, there was a new news. So Japan has banned the entry for all the foreign nationals, and that's the situation right now. So Japan has joined the growing number of countries who has taken the extreme measure of closing their complete borders to foreign travelers. Right now, as December of 28th, end of the year, and also continuing next year, no foreign nationals are allowed to enter the country. So there's a completely entry ban. And with the ban expected to last until the end of January at the earliest. So it was a good sign on the one hand. They open up for tourists in October, November, the numbers has doubled. And yeah, then the numbers increased, and now they said like, okay, complete shutdown happening right now, and they will set it until the end of January, but yeah, most likely by chance that they will increase it. And Japan has also put stricter rules in place regarding the re-entry of Japanese people, Japanese nationality. And for as a resident, foreign living in the country, you get a resident card, then you consider as a resident. And they also increased the restriction rules for these kind of people. They must provide a negative COVID-19 test taken 72 hours, so 3 days before they enter Japan again. And they must self-isolate for 2 weeks. Actually, I have a friend, he told me he returned to Japan, but and then he showed a negative test, and then she had to self-isolate herself. But there is no control. So she just walked outside, went shopping and so on. There is nobody controlling you, but the rule is you have to self-isolate yourself. Due to Japanese mindset, the people, the Japanese people, they just follow the rules. Even it's like there is no control at all, not like in European other countries. And why they have decided to ban foreign travelers? Well, like many other countries around the world, Japan's latest set of restrictions has come about the following discovery. You all should know there is a new mutation of the virus happening in UK and South Africa, but also right now in all the European countries and also in America. It just had spread kind of 2-3 days or so. So they said, okay, we have to act right now. There's this new mutation. We are not 100% sure if the new vaccine will help us to protect ourselves from the new mutations. They put strict measurements, strict rules. They already reported 7 cases of the new virus in the country happening. 5 passengers who arrived from the UK on Tokyo. So they said like, oh, let's rather be safe than sorry. Oh, close down, be safe. So you know, it's a dynamic process. The regulations, they change from day to day, so we can't really predict the future of 2021. So it is impossible to say whether or not the ban will be extended beyond the end of January, so February or March and so on. A lot of things going around. For example, they thought about an app that is tracking your whole movement. Imagine you enter Japan, then you have to show yourself that you have health insurance as a foreign tourist. Then you have to download the app. The app got an inbuilt tracking system, so they always know where you are. Then from time to time you have to report your health status, like how do you feel, do you have fever, and so on. And they have just put in the checkboxes and responded. If you will not do it on a regular basis, they will contact you because they have your contact details while in the country, and they will put on some measurements. Well, concerning data protection, it's another whole different issue or topic, so let's not think about it because it's not happening right now. But should the system prove to be effective, then Japan may scale up the restriction, may set this restriction back and scale up the incoming foreign tourists. And actually, it would be okay for me to download the app and follow some rules. But not the self-quarantine, of course. Imagine you book a flight to Japan, want to go there for 1 or 2 weeks, but the 1 or 2 weeks you have to be self-quarantine. So it will be quite stupid. So they thought about other kind of things you have to happen. For me, it would be okay. So let's come to the verdict. Will you be able to travel to Japan in 2021? The answer is yes and no. In between. So the possibility of travel to Japan in 2021 is set on different factors you have to consider. First, the country must lower the spread of the virus, so the numbers, they need to decrease. So with high numbers, there is no chance that anything will happen. That the Tokyo Olympics will be held in 2021 summer, or that foreign tourists will be allowed, so the numbers need to increase. Second, of course, the Olympic. If the numbers would be quite in the middle, so intermediate, and they put on some measurements, like mentioned before with the tracking app, and we use the spring as a test for the Olympic Games, and this kind of test run will show that everything is fine, that they can hold the games, that everything will be fine. So that is a good sign. Then they will, of course, will hold the Olympic Games. Well, all being well, a successful event could lead to even greater relaxing of the. Imagine, okay, let's just think positive. So the numbers, okay, we have the new vaccine. The vaccine works. So in spring they will allow foreign tourists to enter the country with new measurements. And all these tourists and the numbers, they will sustain to a certain number of infections, or situation will prove the test run will be successful. So they will say, okay, let's do the next big thing. Let's hold the Olympics, and there's a huge event, Olympics, and they will use it as another test run. And after the Olympics, they said, oh, well, even the Olympics, even that huge kind of event, it worked, it was successful. So let's loosen up some restriction and everything will be fine. And should Japan achieve these feats, coupled with widespread vaccination, of course, around the world, not even in Japan. By the way, the vaccination will start in Japan in February. Then, well, we can hope for a bright future where we can travel to Japan, enjoy the culture, enjoy all the tasty food, experience the nature. I'm just looking forward. As always, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to my channel and leave a comment below. And see you next time.